Hi guys, today I wanted to talk about my birth story. I never sat down and talked to the camera like this, but I want to start doing it more often. And I watched a lot of birth story videos when I was pregnant, so I feel like this would be helpful to any moms that are thinking about having a natural birth, or that are just scared about birth in general, or just anybody that's just curious to know how my birth story went. So here we go. So first of all, I went to the doctors to begin with at the beginning of my pregnancy, and then I decided that I wanted to have a natural birth. So I found a midwife. It was a Black midwife, Black owned in San Antonio. She was amazing. Her name's Nikki, a San Antonio nurse midwife. And I switched with her probably about 3 months into my pregnancy, and she took over, and I had, the normal checkups that I usually would at a doctor's office. I didn't have ultrasounds because she didn't have an ultrasound machine there, but she just checked the baby's heartbeat, and I did have a 20-week ultrasound, and then another one, other ones farther along, but I can't remember. Not a lot of ultrasounds though. Well, that was the sad part about not going to the doctors. But I planned to have a home birth at the birthing center, and I was planning on, doing it however felt most natural to me, but I was really feeling called to have birth in the bathtub there, so that's what I was planning on doing. Anyways, so fast forward to 40 weeks pregnant, which is full term, still pregnant. I swore that my baby was gonna come early, but I made it to full term, and then my midwife just reassured me that, babies come whenever they want to come. You don't get to choose, I didn't go to the hospital and get induced or anything like that. I was just gonna let her come naturally. So, I would go on walks, I would bounce on the ball, I'd stretch. I was ready for her to come out. I was pregnant. I'm ready for her to come out. So I think I was about 41 weeks and 5 days. I had checkups every, I want to say 2 to 3 days at that time, just to make sure, am I dilated? What's going on? And at 41 weeks and 5 days, it was coming up to 42 weeks. And you don't want to go past 42 weeks because then stillbirth happens and it's just a lot of complications. So my midwife, and I wasn't dilated at all. My cervix wasn't opening up. She had dropped, her head was down there, but I wasn't dilated at all. So my midwife suggested we put a balloon Foley. So they inserted the balloon Foley. That was quite painful, but I was kind of getting used to them just being all up in there from the cervical checks, all the time. And then I also was, GBS positive? I think that's how it is. So I had to start antibiotics whenever my water broke, but that hadn't happened yet. We needed my water to break. So they put a balloon Foley in me at 41 weeks and 5 days. And then this was Thursday night, Thursday around 6 p.m. They put the balloon Foley in. I started getting just contractions. It felt like period cramps, but just strong ones, but kind of just oof, that hurt, but nothing serious throughout the night. And I slept okay Thursday night, and then I woke up Friday morning around 7 a.m. and I went to the bathroom, and my midwife gave me these little test strips to test if I had actually peed or if it was amniotic fluid. And I noticed that my underwear was just a little bit wet, just barely. And I put the little test strip, and it had turned blue or whatever color it was. So it was amniotic fluid, and my water had broke. So that morning we went to the midwife's, and she started giving me antibiotics, and I had to come back every 8 hours to get the antibiotics. So that was pretty difficult being in labor because I lived about 30 minutes away from the birthing center. So I was just up and down the highway with full-on contractions. They started off at around 6 minutes apart, and then when I had gone to the midwife that morning, she took the balloon Foley out because my water had broke, it did its job, and I was 3 centimeters dilated. So yay, I was dilated. And then she sent me back home because she's like, okay, you're not ready yet. So I went back home, I labored some more. The contractions just kept getting stronger and stronger. They started getting closer and closer apart. That day was pretty rough because I probably went to the midwife's around 8 a.m. and I went back at like 4 p.m. Still wasn't dilated anymore, still 3 centimeters dilated. Got more antibiotics. That took about 30 minutes. You know, having contractions the whole car ride there, the whole car ride back, I was miserable. I just wanted to get out of the car. I just wanted to, you know, lay in bed, just be comfortable, and the car was like the last place I wanted to be. Got sent back home again. Going back to the midwife about 12 a.m. Got another round of antibiotics, got another cervical check, still 3 centimeters dilated. So after, you know, just having contractions and in active labor all day, I tried to get some rest Friday night, and she told me to be back early, I think about like 7 a.m. the next morning. I probably didn't get there until 9 because I was just like exhausted. I just took my time, but you know, I brought my birthing bag with me and I was determined. I was like, I'm going to have this baby today. Like well, I had to have her today because you can only your water can only be broken for, I think, like 48 hours is like the limit that they want to. So it was approaching that time and the contractions were getting like stronger. They were getting closer together. They were about like 2 minutes apart at this point, and I was miserable. I just wanted to have this baby. So I go in, she gives me another round of antibiotics and she checks me. And she says I'm about 5 centimeters dilated. So I was like, yay, I'm dilated more, like it's happening, but I still wasn't there. Like you have to be 10 centimeters dilated to have a baby, and I was 5. So she said, you know, we're gonna keep pushing, we're gonna keep trying to do everything that we're gonna do, but like she was with me, like we're having this baby today. So we were all determined, you know, the whole birthing team was ready. We're gonna have this baby today. She's coming, we're affirming it. You know, I'm moving around, I'm ready. So I was getting my antibiotics at the same time. And then I go to the bathroom and the amniotic fluid is green. And I walk out and I'm like, Nikki, the fluid is green. And she's like, okay, you know how we talked about if we had to, oh my goodness. Okay. She said, you know how we talked about, you know, that we're gonna do whatever's safest possible for you and for the baby, and it might be that time to go to the hospital. I just lost it. I was just completely taken back. I was like, this is not the plan. You know, I'm strong enough. Like, why is this happening? She calls her doctor that she has like over her, or just her doctor that she refers to, and she just said, what hospital do you want to go to? And that he was gonna basically meet me there, and that was that. And then she sent me on my way. She gave me a hug and sent me on my way. My mom met me at the hospital. Why am I crying so much? It's just like reliving like all those moments again, which was just like a lot. I wasn't prepared at all. I didn't have a hospital bag. I had a home birth bag, which was planned to stay for a couple hours and then go home, not a couple days, and then, you know, go home. Like, Kevin didn't even have anything with him because he just planned we were going home that night. Like, that's what happens when you give, you know, natural births. You go home just in a couple hours. So they had everything ready for me when I walked up. They were like, oh, Miss Allen, like, you're here, you know, we have your room set up for you and everything. The nurses were so nice. They were so helpful. They made the experience just so much better for me, because I was panicking. They weren't making me feel bad for trying to have a natural birth at a birthing center. They were just welcoming with open arms, and they took me to my room, and maybe an hour later the anesthesiologist comes in and he gives me an epidural, which was nothing compared to the contractions that I had been feeling. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna hurt so bad. And I'm like holding one of the nurses' hands, and then I'm holding Kevin's hand, and then the anesthesiologist puts the needle in my back, and I was like, that's it? Like, I was all scared about that for nothing. And then literally minutes later, the contractions just fade, and I got this little button that I could press whenever I needed more. So I was pushing that thing, and then I was just laying in bed and just like slowly losing feelings in my legs. But I was just like, at this point, I was just exhausted. I was in so much pain. I was like, give it to me. Give me all the medicine at this point. Like, I'm here. Like, whatever. Let's just make her come. And then, and then the point of me going to the hospital was, I'm going to get epidural for pain, and then I'm going to get Pitocin to induce her. And then the OBGYN, the doctor, comes in, and he gives me another cervical check, and he says that I'm 3 centimeters dilated, and that there is no way that I am having this baby naturally, and that we need to get to the OR immediately. And then he turns to the nurses and he was like, get this ready, get that ready, da, 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 da. And then at the same time, I'm on FaceTime with my mom, and my jaw just drops, and I'm looking at Kevin, and I'm just like, what did he just say? Did he just say that I'm gonna have a C-section? Like, that was the last thing on my mind, is that I'm gonna have a C-section. Like, anyways, I just look at my mom, and I just start bawling. And then the nurses, they're just like, it's okay, like, you know, we understand this wasn't your plan. And my mom's just reassuring me, because she's had 3 C-sections herself, and she was like, just imagine you're gonna have your baby girl in your arms in an hour, like, and then this is all gonna be over. And I was just trying to stay calm, but I'm in the inside just freaking out, because it's just a complete 180 from what I had planned in my head of what was going to happen, and what I kept reaffirming to myself the entire pregnancy, because I thought it was all a mindset thing. I was like, my body can do whatever. It can, but to some limitations. We all have different bodies, and we never know what's going to happen. So I wish that I would have prepared myself more. Like, I just thought that my body is invincible. I did listen to it, but at the same time, I just didn't prepare myself. So I didn't expect for this. Not that this was the worst thing that could have happened, because I'm here, she's here, you know, we made it, but it's not what I had expected. So fast forward, we go to the OR, you know, they gown me up, they do everything. I'm laying in the table with one arm, Kevin's holding me, the other arm, I have the BP thing, and there's tons of people around me, but there's like this veil in front of me, so I can't see anything that's happening. And then the doctor comes in, and he was so nice and just so sweet. He was like this little African older man, and he was just the sweetest. Anyway, it really was quick. Like, I felt like I was probably in there for like 20 minutes, and then I don't know, about 15 minutes in, I just felt like a whole bunch of moving around, which was so weird, because it's kind of like out of body experience. And then the doctor says, okay, baby out. And then we're just like holding our breaths, because like we don't hear anything. And then like 10-15 seconds later, we just hear wah, wah, and it was just the most beautiful sound I have ever heard. And me and Kevin just look at each other, and we both have tears in our eyes, and we're just like, that's my girl. And then the doctor walks out, and we're like, and he was like, beautiful baby. And then he just walks out, and we're like, okay. But then I guess they have a whole team that closes you up and does stuff. And then a couple minutes later, she comes around the corner all bundled up in her little swaddle, and she's just like, And they handed her to Kevin, and it was just like the best moment of my life. Like, just to see her and just see her little squishy face and just see her that she was healthy and that she was okay. And then at that point, I didn't even care. I was like, just do whatever y'all gotta do. So I'm just continuing to lay on the table and just stare at her. And then they finished and they closed me up, and then they wheeled me back to my room. And then, I don't know, I was kind of out of it for the rest of the night because I just had so much medicine and stuff. But probably about an hour or so later, they brought her up and I got to hold her for the first time. And then I did skin to skin, and it was beautiful. And then I got to breastfeed her, and it was a traumatic, crazy experience, but at the same time, it was a unique and beautiful and just perfect, just the way that God, destined it to be. Like, it still breaks my heart thinking about, just that I feel like in some way that my body failed, but I've kind of gotten over that. But it's still just like, when I think back to it, and like the reason I was crying is just because I think about how I felt in that moment, and it was just like so scary and so new to me. So just any advice to any moms out there that are thinking about having a home birth, or just any kind of birth in the hospital or wherever, just keep an open mind and just trust your body, and just have a good birthing team around you. The people around you matter so much. Kevin, my mom, my Nana, they all played such an important role. Even Serena, she had to pack my hospital bag because I wasn't prepared to be in the hospital. She brought like 3 months outfits, but she did a good job. She just brought us like so much stuff. But then, since it was COVID, we had the hospital stay like all to ourselves just for those 2.5, 3 days or whatever it was. And it was nice, it just being like the three of us and us just like having that time just with each other before, the family came and everything. And it was beautiful. And the recovery for the C-section, really not that bad at all, as long as you stay on top of your meds and you just take it slow. Because I did not take it slow, because again, I thought I was Superwoman and I can do anything. So I kind of pushed it a little bit too much, trying to clean up and do whatever around the house. So like I had a couple stitches like open up, but other than that, I'm healthy. I'm here. My baby's here. She's healthy, and it was okay. We're okay. So if you have any questions about, the midwife process, or, how the C-section process is, or just anything, you can leave it in the comments, and I'll try to get back to it as fast as I can. But if you're pregnant right now, good luck. I'm praying for a healthy mom and a healthy baby on the other side of this. You got this. Just believe in yourself and believe in the team you have, and believe that God will get you through this. I love you all. Thank you for listening to my birthing story.